I jest.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, no, that's incredible. So does it ever give you problems with getting tired in the ring then and things?
Probably to a degree, because I say it's all on your lungs. Like your lungs are working overtime, and I say I have managed to keep it under control, fairly tight control. Sometimes because I was actually supposed to, about 10, 11 years ago, I was supposed to win the FWA's first ever Royal Rumble, but I was ill. I was actually in hospital on an intravenous drip. And that's where Alex suggested doing this sort of storyline where it's going to be based around that. And then we did a follow-up. Well, obviously I wasn't there. We did an angle in Enfield, which me and the Pitbulls still laugh about how bloody terrible it was. Because there was Dirk Feelgood. He was a doctor, and he was there. And the reason why...
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I think the reason why we managed to keep it under wraps, because we were doing a leisure centre show, trying to do like a Ms. TV-esque segment where nobody can understand what we were saying. So because otherwise I think it would have come out a bit more prominently then. So
oh dear,
yeah.
Was Dr. Jason Allbetter there?
I think he was. Yeah, he was there. Yeah. And Dirk Feelgood, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, bless him. Hey, he's done well again. All these people have these amazing stories. I think everybody's got one. The chat we had with Bubblegum where he spoke about his depression.
Yeah.
That was... people love that because it's I think it just puts a real person behind the character.
Sure, yeah. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I thought, well, Stevie, because I think you'd mentioned it to before. I thought, if Stevie asked me to do it, maybe I'll mention it. Just if there's someone listening to this and needs a bit of a kick up the arse and inspiration, and hopefully I can help someone. Just like Bubblegum inspired me to come out and tell you this. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's wrong with me. Maybe all those years of wrestling when I was absolutely knackered after 2 minutes, maybe that's what I've got.
Maybe you have, yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm a bit fat and unfit. Maybe it could be. Oh, yeah. Let's blame it on the other thing. Yeah, that'll do. There you go. No, it's not me that's unfit. It's the cystic fibrosis. Sure. Yes, that's what's doing it. It's all right. You can be proud of me. I've carried on through all of it.
Done.
You know what I mean?
Well done.
Awesome. Okay. Well, there you go then. So another exclusive we've got here. Then this is going to become a feature. I'm going to have people ringing me up telling me they broke their toe when they were 7 and that they've carried on and become wrestlers.
That's it. Yeah. Fought through adversity. Yep.
Oh, awesome. So FWA, you did all that. That was all pretty cool. What happened after that? Because this is where I pretty much didn't see you as much after FWA. I know that you did a tour for me, didn't you?
Oh, I loved it. That was fantastic. I loved that trip. Honestly. Loved that trip.
Wasn't so good for me.
No, I heard, yeah. And I've had a few promoting disasters as well recently, so I feel your pain.
It was a great week though, wasn't it?
Honestly, mate, it was bloody brilliant. Like, honestly, I still have very fond memory. I can't believe it was 10 years ago. And I know we probably don't want to sit there and go, oh my God, it was so long ago, we're so old. But, honestly, you, Linsky, the Pitbulls, Aviv, even, your Northern crew, just such a good laugh. I wasn't impressed that you stuck me in someone's house one night and everyone else was having a good time. I can't remember the lad's name now, but I appreciate the night out.
Oh yeah, I think you stayed at my best friend Leighton's. I think that's where you stayed.
Yeah, and I was the only one. And you're like, stick Simmonz in there. He could sit in there. Oh, cheers. So, and Johnny Angel, of course. Johnny was there. So
yeah, you love him, don't you?
I do. I love him. Yeah, he's such a like a throwback. I appreciated his sort of knowledge and his take on pro wrestling. I thought was excellent.
Have you wrestled him?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah, a few times.
Yeah, he was. He's awesome. He's a good lad. Great lad. He's just put a picture on Facebook, and he's got a big long beard. Now, honestly, did you ever meet his dad, Dave Adams?
Yeah, one time when we did that, you did the Tsunami show.
Oh, did you do that for me?
Yeah, I came up to that, yeah.
There were so many people there, I can't remember who did it. So was you a culprit in, let me tell a story, and then you can tell me if this happened. I put on a Tsunami charity show, and there were literally, 50 wrestlers there from everywhere. We had to do like 10-man tags and like 50-man rumble, so everybody got on the show. And a hotel, you'll see where I'm going in a minute, a hotel very kindly offered to put everybody up for like £10 a night to be really, really kind, maybe 20 quid a night or something, to be really kind and get somewhere for all these wrestlers that were doing a good deed for charity. And then the next day I got a phone call from the hotel. Was you in the hotel?
Yeah, I was in the hotel, yeah, I was.
Can you remember what happened in the hotel?
I want to say it involves a fire extinguisher.
It does.
And Hayde Vanton.
It does involve a fire extinguisher and Hayden Van, WWE superstar.
I can remember you going off your head about it, but I remember, but obviously I didn't really see you after that for maybe so long, but I remember, maybe you called me. I remember getting wind that you were furious, but I can't even remember. So I'm fairly honest, fairly confident I was innocent.
It was. I got a phone call the next day from the hotel manager saying we had quite a lot of trouble with the wrestlers last night. There was 2 females, and Hayde Vanson, it turned out to be, had followed them into their hotel room or something along those lines and sprayed a fire extinguisher at them.
Oh right. Oh okay.
So that's the story that I got. So I rang Hayde, who'd not been wrestling that long. He was still quite new to me and my sense of humour, or more teaching him a lesson, in fact. And I called him up and I told him that the manager had called me and he'd been named as the person responsible, and that the bill was £250 for refilling the fire extinguisher. He went, I'm ever so sorry, mate. I ain't got that kind of money and everything. I'm ever so sorry it happened. I said, well, I'll just can I get your details off you so I can forward the bill to you and things like that. He'd never asked me for any money, the hotel manager, at all.
Okay.
So I let him sweat it for a day and then called him back and told him, not really, but just behave yourself.
Yeah.
I think wrestlers shoot themselves in the foot so much with, I always remember, I won't name names, but a TV guy came into the changing room once, and he was interested in putting some wrestling on TV, and all the wrestlers were in there, and you know what they're like. I think it's changed a lot now, but then they were all gobby guys and this guy brought his daughter in with him, who was probably about 14, and one of the wrestlers, you can see where this is going, can't you? Yeah, one of the wrestlers, who's this then? And before he had a chance to say who it was, he said, I'd fucking give her one. And I'm like, And it's, this TV guy, and after that was it.
I can imagine, yeah.
No interest in wrestling again at that point. I think they do. I think they shoot themselves in the foot, which is why I think this corporate thing now is probably a good thing for people behaving themselves.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, we could have done with all that shenanigans.
Now, you sent me a message telling me you had a story about Jake the Snake Roberts, and I need to know this because Jake let me down. I had a big show, and he let me down and never turned up. Luckily, it went okay anyway. And then just the other day, I was watching his documentary, which is great. But how long it will last for, I'm not so sure.
No.
I hope for his sake and everybody that he does stick with it. But when he was in the UK, because he lived out here for a while, the guy was a total mess, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. I'm not going to pretend I spent loads of time with him, but I did enough shows with him to go from, wow, that's Jake the Snake, to I couldn't give a flying, So, the story, I probably bigged it up quite a lot on Facebook, but what it was about was, so we did a Croydon for Brian Dixon, and he was on the show, and we went out for a curry. It was myself, Flatliner, Phil Powers, and a couple of others, and Jake was there. And let's say Jake was at the head of the table. I was like the furthest away you could get from Jake. Next to me was the Flatliner. For those of you who don't know who Flatliner is, especially 10 years ago, he was ginormous. So I couldn't really even see Jake, but I knew he wasn't in any sort of fit state to hold a conversation. And he was, but totally unbeknownst to me, he was like bollocking me down the table, who's that kid? He should be asking me questions. I'm a legend, man. He's not even talking to me. So, kind of was like, oh, all right. I didn't find out until later on, but I was like, oh, well, I'd have loved to have chatted to Jake the Snake of, 1989, but the Jake of 2004, at that particular time, I didn't want to talk to that Jake the Snake of 2004. I've always had a real dislike for drugs and drug culture, and it's kind of never been my scene. And I appreciate some people fall down that path when they don't want to, but that's kind of never been my scene.
Hello?
Excuse me.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh. What happened there?
It was in my text alert, sorry.
I thought you died.
No.
I thought the cystic fibrosis.
Got me.
You just told us and then it got you.
No. Luckily, it was just a text. So that was kind of that.
Sorry, that's go on, carry on.
That's right. And then, so maybe about 6 months later, FWA were having a show in London, and but Steve Corino was booked, and Alex called me up the morning of the show, and something had happened, and Steve Corino wasn't coming.
I remember this.
So So Alex calls me and he says, Andy, Jake the Snake doesn't live too far from you. Can you pick him up on the way? So I'm kind of thinking, of course, because again, I'm just a good soldier who kind of do as he's asked. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll pick Jake up. And there was myself, my friend Ian Logan, and my other friend Tommy Stevens. There's 3 of us in the car. So we pull up outside Jake's house. And I said to the lads, I said, whatever you do, boys, if he asks you for money, just say you haven't got any. So we're like, yeah, cool, we all agree we're not going to give him any money because we kind of heard stories, I guess he does this. Jake pulls up, comes out his house, walks to my car, he says, hey, brother, can I borrow £20? And instantly, he'd got me. I was like, yep, here you go, Jake, yep, here you go. Here's £20. So he's like a magnetising person, he was a very, he's Jake the Snake at the end of the day, I guess. So I lend him £20. So we get to this show, and So he's supposed to be coming in the car with me. He then decides he's not going to come in the car with me. He's actually going to go with his girlfriend. And so he goes with his girlfriend. First thing we do, we stop off at an off-licence. I'm following in the car behind him. Stops at an off-licence, comes out with a bottle of whiskey. So, right, so that's what that £20 was for, a big bottle of whiskey. So we get to the show, and he's absolutely hammered. And long and short of it is, he flips his lid, I think, when he finds out Steve Linsky's on the show. Yeah. So, because it fell out going back to that show with John Farrell in Preston. Yeah. So he flips his lid going, I'm not going to work if he's working, and he was obviously really steaming drunk by this point. So Alex sends him home. So I kind of jestfully say to Alex, I said, Alex, I just lent him £20 and you've sent him home. I was like 19, 20. So Alex says, don't worry, I'll sort you out. So Alex, to his credit, gives me that £20 when he pays me that night. And, excuse me. Rocky! So then the following day I get booked for a show run by a chap called Julio Torres in Havant, which isn't too far from my house in Portsmouth. So I went down to that show, and then lo and behold, Jake's there. And Jake approaches me and says, hey, brother, I haven't forgotten about that £20 you owe me. I owe you. So I happily took that £20 off Jake the Snake, Robert. So I'd like to think I was one of the few that didn't get conned by Jake the Snake. I managed to con him. So,
you'll be getting a call from Alex tomorrow asking for his £20 back.
Probably, I'm sure Alex owes me that more anyway. So yeah. Extra money, I'll pay you next time. Yeah,
he always paid me. I was always, because I was the 27-year-old veteran.
Yeah, don't doubt it. Yeah,
not the old man there that everyone thinks. 40 in 2 weeks. Good God,
I won't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know you won't believe it. I look so well on it. I'm not really, really not anymore. If you'd be. I mean, I was always a bit of a fat man, but now I'm disgustingly fat. Now it's sickening. I sicken myself sometimes with mirrors.
Really? I didn't know she'd be that bad. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not Pitbull Mike, but I'm probably Pitbull Dave.
All right. Oh, that ain't too bad. Yeah. You're a strong man.
What do you think? So, have you seen his documentary?
I did. I watched it the other day actually, and I was
What do you think?
I don't want to say anything. It just depends. Like, if this podcast was going out, let's just say to wrestlers, I'd give an honest opinion. But as it doesn't, obviously, I'd just say, yeah, it was a good documentary. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I speak the truth. I hope it's true, and I hope the whole thing is legitimate because. I have my. Unfortunately, I have my doubts. But some people do. Some people completely turn their lives around, and
true, yeah, true.
And hopefully he's one of them that does it. You never know. He might make it. So
he's still alive compared to others. So
good God. Do you know what? The problem with that is, and I've seen people that have done this, and heard of people, and read about people that have been on drugs their entire lives, and when they quit the drugs. They die.
That's when the problems start, isn't it? Yeah.
That's when their problems start, yeah. This is a dog podcast now.
Sorry, is it really clear?
Rocky!
Pack it in.
Pack it in, Rocky. Shut up.
He's like, you don't shout at me normally. Like, you let me do what I like. Okay, I'm going to shut the door. That might do. That might help. Okay, right.
You love your dog, don't you?
I do. I love him the most, yeah.
I know you do. I've seen your pictures with your dog.
He's my best mate, yeah.
Now, obviously, as a kid that was growing up loving WWF, going into WWE wrestling, a rather amazing thing happened to you, didn't it? Which I still think is one of the best things that any British lad that hasn't got a contract out there and gone on to live there and things has ever done. And I think this must have been a marvellous experience for you. Tell us about your experience on Raw.
Okay, so I got a text the day before. So, little backstory. 18 months prior, I'd had a